Kevin J. Johnston here, freedomreport.ca. I have the extreme pleasure of working with, right now on the screen behind me, Mike Phillip from Americanuckradio.com. Mike, say hello to the world.
Hey everybody, how you doing? As Kevin J said, I am Mike Phillip. I'm the host of the Americanuck radio show on the Genesis Communications Network, the same fine U.S. network that brought you shows like Alex Jones, Sons of Liberty, What Really Happened. I'm a big fan of the Genesis Communications Network and very proud to be part of that team.
Most people in this country are huge fans of that network, and everybody knows who Alex Jones is. And I'm often called the Canadian Alex Jones, and that is a compliment. No matter what anyone says about how derogatory a term that may be, it's not derogatory in any way.
Absolutely.
All right. So you had some questions for me, my friend. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what, a whole lot of people have got a whole lot of questions for you. I found out I phoned your house on Monday, and I believe it was Monday, and your wife answered the phone. She didn't sound too happy. I said, have Kevin call me when he gets in, because I wanted to collaborate on some projects and talk about next Saturday's show. And then I received a tweet that I was tagged in that you had been arrested for hate speech, and everybody was assuming, the way that the article was framed, that you were actually being arrested for posting the $1,000 reward for catching an instance of hate speech in a Peel District school. And that's all anybody knew. And it was great that you called me when you got out and explained the situation to me. So you had some news as well, and I tweeted out, I said, Kevin J is free, and he's grinning ear to ear, and he's got some big breaking news that's going to be coming right away. So everybody across Canada and a lot of the United States is chomping at the bit to find out what's going on with Kevin J. Johnston.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the story as short as I can. The police came to my front door at 9:50 a.m. yesterday. That's Monday. Let me give you the date on that. Monday, for reference, the 24th of July, 2017. It was two detectives who showed up in suits. They look good. They said, Mr. Johnston, we regret to inform you that you're under arrest. They were actually apologetic looking in their demeanor and their faces. Complete consummate professionals. They let me get out of my shorts and ripped t-shirt into a decent shirt and a good pair of pants. They let me put my shoes on. They arrived in an unmarked car, so as not to humiliate me in any way. They allowed me to get into the car. That's when the rights were read. That's when the physical contact was made. You're under arrest now, which I understood. Thank you. I got the handcuffs in the front, not the back. As I did explain that there's a shoulder injury I've got from BMX riding. Please, I don't want to. But you know what? They weren't actually going to put the cuffs behind anyway. This was a complete professional mano-a-mano thing where it seemed like they resented they had to do this. I don't think...
That's highly irregular, putting the cuffs in the front. That's highly irregular.
It's highly irregular, but there seems to be not a disdain, but a resentment on the part of the police that this had to go to charges in the first place. Now, at the station, I spent zero time in a barred cell. Zero. They let me sit in the main lobby area where I answered some questions. They asked me some questions. They all know who I was. And I'm very respectful towards the police, which you'll see on any video. When the police ask me to leave a protest, I just leave. When the police are looking for some type of support, I offer it at all times. I'm very supportive of the Peel Police because I know they've got a tough job here. Mississauga is the epicenter for everything that's going wrong with the country right now because of Lester B. Pearson International Airport being completely within the city border. Can't be helped. Nonetheless, I sat in the interrogation room for the shortest amount of time. I asked for a cup of coffee. I got it. I asked for a cup of water. I got it. The interrogation was mainly me asking questions. I mean, I expressed that I was disappointed in the fact that Motion M103 already seems to be enacted with the fact that I could be arrested for having opinions on Islam. But that was it. I didn't divulge any information. And whenever the detective asked me, which was a different detective, he asked me, could we review your videos? And I'm saying no. But I can say that if given the opportunity to vote M103 down, I will. And that was my way of saying I'm not going to answer any questions. He said, okay. It was respectful. There was no anger. He escorted me to the washroom so I could use the John again. Got to the courthouse. I spent no more than 15 minutes in the actual cell underneath the courthouse. They got me up the elevator into the courtroom. The cuffs were in front again, and the Crown Attorney asked if the cuffs could be removed. I've never seen a Crown Attorney do that in all the 15.
That is highly irregular. Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Heard that happening.
What I'm saying here is that there is a respect for what I am doing and what I am saying. Obviously, there are a lot of people within the police, within the court system, within the Ontario government who agree implicitly with everything that I'm saying and doing. They are catching on to the fact that there's a lot of tenets of Islam that are just not a good thing for the Western world. But I think it's more that everybody's tired of walking on eggshells. I think every Canadian, doesn't matter what color you are, every Canadian is fed up with political correctness. We all should have the ability to speak our minds. Nonetheless, I was released on my own recognizance with a very few number of conditions. One of the conditions is I can't tell you what the conditions are. I think breakfast television might have told people what the conditions are. But it's only one charge from Section 319, subsection 2 of willful... Hold on. Maybe it's on this piece of paper here. I can tell you what the charge is. And I apologize. My desk is in a bit of a wreck right now.
Well, and while you're looking
there we
for
go.
that,
I got
to
it.
point out that you take your average cop or district or prosecutor and think about what they have to deal with in a day.
Yes.
With all the scumbags and actual criminals, and they're having to go and round people up because somebody's feelings got hurt. That is bullshit.
Yes, that's exactly what's happened here. And the police know it. Why would they want to deal with this nonsense? I mean, you got to think about this. A car had to pick me up, fuel from my house to the station, then fuel from the station to the courthouse. There's about a 28K distance between them, plus the toll route to get there, plus all the staff that have to man the courthouse. And when I was in general population, there were 5 other guys there. One for an argument with his girlfriend, one for a simple shoplifting, probably $40. One got into an argument with somebody in a restaurant. I mean, these are non-crimes. And the cops don't want to have people locked up for stuff like that. They are busy. But the problem with the way the justice system works now is that everybody has to get that court hearing so that the responsibility falls solely on the judge and the Crown Attorney, which I get. But there was about 60 cops in the basement of the courthouse making sure that fewer than 60 people who are being incarcerated got to their court hearings on time. It's a lot of money that's being spent on this. And these are non-crimes. I mean... Wow. Anyway.
Victimless crime.
Yeah. So the short form here is promote hatred, Section 319, subsection 2 of the Criminal Code of Canada. Now, the subsection on that is because it was something to do with, it wasn't a private conversation. It was public discourse. Here, let me read it out to you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Willful promotion of hatred. There we go. Oh, almost had it. Everyone who, by communicating statements other than in private conversation, willfully promotes hatred against any identifiable group is guilty of A, an indictable offense and is liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years, so it's provincial, or B, an offense punishable on summary conviction, or I guess a fine, community service.
That's pretty wide open. I mean, that could be interpreted. I mean, what if I said every painter I ever met was a bunch of drunken bums? That's an identifiable group. I mean, and who owns your thoughts? Who owns your opinions?
Well,
who gave you the ability to formulate an opinion, to look around you? Is that a privilege granted by government, or is that your God-given inalienable right?
Whoever has the gun is in charge. Whoever has the money is in charge. I mean, how else do you word that? Authority and power are concepts. They don't exist. They exist because human beings believe that they do, and human beings will strive to get their hands on guns and power. That's how it is. So who has the right to tell you how to think? The guy with the gun. There's no other answer I can offer. It's true. It sucks, but it's true, my friend. So anyway, I'm looking at 319, sections 1, 2, and 3. Very, very poorly written. And to have a 2-year prison term on something that's only one sentence, is something that I doubt is going to happen in any way. What I feel sorry for the Crown on this one. The Crown attorney is in a bad position. Don't let this go to court. They look bad and weak. But put me in prison. Not only do they look weak for doing so, but everybody who brought the charges against me looks weak for doing so. And on top of that, the Muslim community is going to be made to pay the price for it because people are going to react to this. This is not Germany. This is not the United Kingdom. So I would actually say that putting me in prison is a bad thing for the Muslim community. And I don't want bad things for the Muslim community. This is not what my crusade is about. My crusade is about the end of political correctness. I want everyone to be able to say what is on their minds. I want everybody out there who's offended by stuff to grow up. And in the meantime, everybody who's come to this country for a better life, I want them to remain having the better life because growing up here in the 70s and 80s was a phenomenal time. And I want every human being to have the same phenomenal time that I had. That is what your right is when you come to this nation. If you're going to be a Canadian first and everything else last.
Fair enough. So that's what I've always gotten from you anyways. I don't know where people think you're this colossal hater. I mean, listen, if the government hadn't waded in with M103 and all this pushing LGBTQ and all of that, nobody would care because nobody ever did. When I was a kid, we didn't care.
Yeah, thank you. No, you're right. Nobody cared at all. Jordan Peterson had to bring this stuff to everybody's attention because he was being attacked by left-wing LGBTQ nutjobs on a daily basis. I had to go at M103 because I saw just how poorly written it was and how dangerous it was, especially when Mayor Bonnie Crombie and I faced off against each other in 2015. I gave a deposition as to why putting a mosque in a residential neighborhood was a bad idea, based on the fact that going north into the mosque, there was only room for 36 cars. Going south, only 37 cars. It meant that everybody was going to move to side streets and kill a kid. That's what I was talking about. Bonnie Crombie, the mayor, didn't care. What she wanted to do was read out pieces of my website saying, I'm concerned about crime going up. I'm concerned about kidnapping of girls. I'm concerned about sexual assault. Those are legitimate concerns. And the mayor of Mississauga, I don't know if anyone knows this, but she walks around with a binder about 1.5 inches thick, full of everything from my YouTube channel and every quote that I've ever made. So she can read them back to me. For some reason, she thinks that's winning an argument.
You're occupying a lot of her gray matter, I see.
Almost all of it.
Beautiful. I mean, you know, it's like we're beating a dead horse here, but they're trying to be all things to all people. And Muslims or Islam specifically does not tolerate LGBTQ. It doesn't tolerate it.
That's right.
They're trying to marriage the two, and it can't be done. It's oil and water.
I was listening to an imam, and I'm going to start just simply put releasing videos to do with what imams are saying, what hate-filled preachers are saying worldwide. And there's a guy in New York City was saying that homosexuals are to be burned alive or thrown off the nearest cliff or lashed or buried alive. Why?
Those are their choices.
Yeah, those are your choices. They all suck. Every choice sucks. But where are the radical feminists arguing with this guy?
They're cheering for it.
I know. That's the worst part. They're cheering for it, but they're telling guys like me, white-skinned, middle-aged males, that we are not allowed to have opinions that counter the opinions of people who are spewing hatred. It's a world gone mad. I mean, the lunatics truly are running the asylum. They really are.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're seeing it here too in Alberta. In people's anger at the Conservative Party that ruled after the Social Credit Party for 43 years, they got lazy, they got entitled. Listen, conservative doesn't always mean good, okay?
Nah, I know.
Myself, I'm more of a libertarian, but they were just feeding at the trough and doing everything they could to piss off Albertans. And finally, Albertans held their nose and did the unthinkable and voted NDP.
Yeah.
And now we've just had this vote to unite the right between the Conservative Party and Wildrose, and I smell a big screw job coming down the road for Albertans. I mean, Jason Kenney he's one of those old guard conservatives that's always been there as long as I can remember. And they're gonna go running straight back to the people that pissed them off so bad that they voted for Rachel Notley. And speaking of which, while we're in this vein, you had some breaking news, and I think it's very exciting. Would you like to let that unleash the dogs of war right now, so to speak?
Mike, there are 7 stories I'm covering right now. Which one are you referring to?
Your plans for the future.
My plans for the future. I'm running for mayor of Mississauga. Regardless of what's happened here, there is a particular individual within the city of Mississauga that does not want me to run for mayor of Mississauga. I can't name the person because the court papers say that I cannot. But nonetheless, I'm running for mayor because this ploy to get me locked up in a jail cell during the 2018 municipal elections in Ontario isn't going to work. It's not going to work. I'm running for mayor of Mississauga. At the same time, because I have dealt with so many smaller political parties, I've had conversations with many of them, it is very difficult to find one of these independent parties out there who can stay focused. They all seem to be infighting, not just with each other, but with their own people within inside these same groups. And I find that a lot of these independent political parties, I wanted to join a few of them. I won't name them, but I wanted to join a few, and they told me that I'm too honest, I'm too loud. One gentleman from a specific party in Ontario told me they're concerned that I would vie for leadership of the party. Now, I'm a domineering personality type, so I can't argue that point, but we're going to form our own political party federally.
That's big news.
That is big news. Now,
we'll
get our... yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing. Getting libertarians to get on the same page with anything, because they're such freedom-loving, free-thinking people, it's like herding cats. But if we could get the Tim Mowens, have you ever looked into Tim Mowen in Northern Alberta of the Canadian Libertarian Party? If we could get those people together on the same page with the purpose of advancing liberty in Canada and freedom, I'd be all for it. I mean, I'm telling you, people are tired of the liberals. They're tired of the conservatives arguably are better, but still not great. I mean, we've still got the Governor General. We've still got ties to the British Crown. That's what I want to see wiped out. I want to see a new birth of a Canadian Republic that dominates and capitalizes on the mistakes and the victories of the past based on the Magna Carta, the United States Bill of Rights and Constitution. Form a new republic. We could have the shining city on the hill, greatest country that the world has ever seen. We're poised to do it. We have the resources. We have the intelligence. We have people strong enough, and that's my stance on the whole issue.
We have people strong enough, but we don't have leadership. That's the problem. It doesn't matter how strong your country might be. It doesn't matter how arrogant or proud your citizens might be. Without leadership, none of those citizens can reach their goals. And if they do, it's a fluke. Believe me when I say this. We need true, strong leadership. Someone who simply doesn't care about the political correct audience out there, and someone who's going to make the hard decisions and then enforce them. We don't have any of that. We have a whole bunch of people running around. I hate the analogy chicken with a head cut off running around. So let's say this. We've got 1,000 chickens running around hopped up on LSD and you're playing loud music. That's a better analogy. Nothing's getting done. None of them make sense. None of them are communicating with each other, and none of them are making decisions that matter for the country. They make decisions that matter to put some money over here or a favor over there. That's all we get. And to give you an idea of how weak leadership is here, I was really appalled to find out just 2 months ago that they're going to be shutting down the central wing of Parliament Hill. All right, the Parliament building's in Ottawa for 15 to 20 years so they can renovate the inside. I mean, a strong leader would say, hey, you've got 18 months. It better look good. I don't know why everything has to take so long. Someone says 15 years. No leadership comes forward and saying, no, that's not good enough and your tender is now denied. That's where I'm sickened by the lack of leadership. You want to see it in my hometown of Mississauga. There's 1 million people in a city that was really designed for 200,000 tops. So there's traffic all the time. And when a road goes under construction, and I've got photographs of this, there's a 7-kilometer stretch of road that literally had 4 workers and 1 bulldozer running. That's it. What are they planning on doing? Keeping this thing going on for 3 years so they can bilk the city for 3 years? I don't understand why it is that our leaders can't say, you have 4 weeks to finish off this road. And for every day that you're late, we're going to penalize you $50,000. That's what leaders do.
Well, I know that in Toronto, it costs somewhere between $60,000 and $150,000 to build a set of stairs. So, I mean, to renovate Parliament, that's got to be 50 gajillion bazillion dollars.
Yeah, it's going to be off the charts. But the security guard I spoke to up there said it was a 12-year official plan. But when they were repairing the West Hall, they went 4 years over. It was supposed to be a 3-year project. It ended up being 7, and it's still not finished yet. So we know that the next time I can see inside of Parliament Hill, which I'm going to go do next month just to get it out of the way. But the next time that I can see inside of Parliament Hill, I'll be 65 years of age. I'm 45 now. Sad. How do you take a resource like that, which brings people into your city to spend money in your city, and then deny them that for 20 years?
Yeah, well, it's the same old story. I mean, and then you have government links to organized crime. Look at Montreal. Look at it's the same thing that we've seen in cities all over North America, frankly.
Canadians don't seem to realize that it's every bit as bad here from a corruption standpoint and a violence standpoint as everywhere else in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It's just easier to ignore here because the country is so sparsely populated. If something happens in Montreal and you live in Thunder Bay, who cares? You know, honestly speaking, if something happens in Edmonton, it affects me in no way here in the Greater Toronto area. So therein lies the problem, is that Canadians don't seem to realize that we only have really 6 major cities in the whole country. So whatever happens in these major cities will affect you in some way.
Well, Canadians like to look down their nose at our neighbors south of the border, and I happen to be a U.S. citizen myself, and it's like that nosy neighbor looking over the fence saying, well, looks like America's got some old paint cans in the garage and a slight discipline problem. And it used to be when I was a kid that we had this national pride that if you put a Canadian flag on a backpack, you could go prancing through Iran and nothing would happen to you because we are the most loved people in the world. No, that reputation, we are not respected on a national stage. Our military, God bless them, they're tough and they're well trained, but they are ignored and underfunded.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, if North Korea lobbed a missile onto Edmonton, we would have a hard time mounting an attack without help from NATO or somebody else. We're not self-reliant. And I think that's, that flies in the face of our troops, as hardworking and well-trained as they are.
It's an insult to our troops.
Yeah.
We in this country do nothing for our troops. We have something that's called the Canadian National Exhibition every year in downtown Toronto. And it used to be a great thing in the 70s and 80s with a lot of really amazing things to see. Now it's just a bunch of people selling junk and a few things to look at. The military comes out, and they don't do it as a recruiting tool. They should. They should be there recruiting. What you get a chance to see is a few airplanes, a few of our Snowbird airplanes, a couple of tanks and a bridge layer. They usually have that out there. But what's amazing about it is you get to speak to our soldiers. And the last time I was there, I actually started crying talking to the guy because he's a young kid, 20 years of age. And he says, you know, Canadians are mad at us. We're in Iraq and we're in Afghanistan. And when we come home, Canadians get angry with us. I don't understand. And I said, it's because they don't understand. You know, God bless you for taking the fight there. If you're fighting there, then we get to live in peace here. You're putting your life on the line, possibly to be captured, tortured, and cut in half. You're putting all of that on the line so that myself and my kids can be here and go to the drive-in movie and lick ice cream cones at 9 o'clock at night watching a movie under the stars. I explained all this to him. I said, thank you for what you do. And the kid, sorry, man, look at that. It bothers me to talk about it.
Listen, it was the same thing with the U.S. troops coming back from Vietnam, getting spit at the airport. I have a friend named Kim who was a gunner in Vietnam, and he said he couldn't believe how his own country treated him. when he came back after what he went through and what he saw. And, listen, you might disagree with reasons for a conflict or a war.
Sure.
But you do not place that on the backs of the troops, because they don't form that policy.
No, they don't.
The army is a dog on a leash, okay? They are subject to whoever's in the seat of power. And I guarantee you, there's a very, very, very low percentage of people in the military that have even an ounce of respect for Justin Trudeau. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Unless they're making big money off of something that the Liberals are doing. But the Liberals have traditionally always scaled back military funding. I mean, we had guys at Edmonton Garrison that were having to go to the food bank. And then I find out that they're wanting to house foreign refugees on our bases when we've got vets in the street. What the hell is that? We don't even look after our own guys.
No, we don't.
We're willing to send them into harm's way.
You know,
Disgusting.
Disgusting is one word. It really gets to me on every emotional level that something can. I mean, very little brings me to tears, but you know, man, Omar Khadr made his choice. His brother made a choice to remain Canadian, stay here, and not listen to his father's rhetoric. Omar Khadr goes to another country, a foreign land, to kill our soldiers and successfully kills a soldier of one of our allies and gets a payout because he was uncomfortable in detention in Guantanamo Bay after the Americans saved his life. And our soldiers here are living on the streets. And you know, I gave one $20 today, standing at the intersection of 410 and Steeles in the city of Brampton. Most of you know it's a very busy intersection. When you get off the highway, there's an immediate left turn you can make. That's where the guy was, and he was a veteran. I gave him $20, and I gave him my card, and I said, please call me. I want to tell your story. I hope he calls. But that's where he was. He was there with a dog, and he had nothing but a blanket and whatever clothing he was wearing. That's how our soldiers are treated after everything they do for us, for you and for me. What the hell did my grandfather fight in World War I for? He fought against tanks on horseback with a sword and a pistol. He was up against machine guns and armored divisions, and he won. He won for what he believed to be freedom. That's what our boys are doing right now in this country, and they get nothing. Nothing. But convicted terrorists get everything. $10.5 million, if you play your cards right, lasts 2 lifetimes.
I tell you what, though, in the face of that situation with the Khadr payout and Chris Spear's family, I have never been more proud when I saw the reaction from 73% of Canada, and I believe that's lowballing it. I really do. If they're reporting 72% of Canadians are not happy with that, then they're trying to sanitize that number as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, of course they can.
It's probably higher. Number 2, the outpouring of goodwill towards the United States of America from our people sending donations to the Spears family is beautiful. And that is building a lot of really great ties between Canada and America, despite Justin Trudeau in his efforts to destroy everything that we've built in the last 150 years.
Justin Trudeau is after that very cushy $1.5 or $2 million per year seat at the table for the United Nations, along with all the free vacations and meals and private jet flights that he gets out of that.
I believe
it's a perks game. He's willing to sell us out for that seat, and of course the Muslims love him, so they'll give him everything that he wants. I just wanted to point something out here. 2017 pay rates for a cadet in the Canadian Army, $105 a day. If you're a second lieutenant, A grade, $116 a day. If you're a second lieutenant, B grade, $145 a day. I mean, at a captain, you're making $184 a day. You know, a gym teacher is making double that. Yeah, there's garbage men that make double that. Yeah, this is how poorly we treat the people that we're convincing, in some cases begging and or lying to defend our nation. That's how poorly we pay them. You know, the money doesn't get good until you're at the colonel level. That's $311 a day. All right. Good money, but the amount of crap you got to put up with at that particular rank is unbelievable, considering that you've got the brigadier general, the major general, lieutenant general, and possibly even field commanders at that point above you. You have a lot to answer for your $300 a day. It's not as much as you might think. And God knows how many years it takes to get there. And then as a colonel or even a brigadier general, you go to Afghanistan and get your arm blown off and a knee shattered. You come back, your payout could be up to $360,000. It most likely will be less than $50,000. One-time check. Now what?
Well, and here in Alberta, it used to be that a guy could just walk out of high school. You could drop out and go jump on a drilling rig and make $300 a day like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when, guys could quit roughnecking on one rig because they were pissed off at the driller or the push, walk down the road and jump on another one. It was that fast. And make a lot of money. You know, guys were pulling in $8 to $10 grand a month, and that was back in the 90s.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
Well, how are the roughnecks now? Is there actual work in the oil field?
There is. It's been scaled back. I mean, a lot of people like to blame Rachel Notley for that, but here's the thing. The situation with OPEC and the U.S. under Obama, the oil market wasn't that great all around, so I don't fully blame that situation on the NDP, because that would have happened if the Conservatives were in anyways. What I do blame the NDP, though, for is the carbon taxes and making it cost a lot more to drill that well. We've got a lot of companies that are walking away because all of a sudden it's they're doing a cost-benefit analysis and it's not working. But that being said, my brother is a driller on, I believe, a big triple for Neighbors Drilling, and he's been working steady. So, there's service guys that are always going to have to go and service wells and keep gas and oil wells flowing. There's guys that are going to have to go around cementing in and capping off old wells that aren't producing anymore. There's always going to be guys that are going to have to service pump jacks, drive water trucks. So, I mean, here's the thing. Ottawa makes so much money off of Alberta that they're never going to allow it to be completely shut down. But they will cause a lot of pain. And, you've got guys all of a sudden selling Sea-Doos, ATVs, holiday trailers, brand new Lincoln Navigators for bottom dollar because all of a sudden the oil patch dropped out on them. Is that their fault for not planning better and getting financed out the yin-yang? But that is the oil patch story, and I've seen it over and over again. Now in the United States under Trump, they are on the road to record drilling this year. And so, one of our most popular shows that we did on Americanuck Radio that people have viewed and commented on more than anything was one where we talked about the possibility of Alberta becoming the 51st state. That was the most popular, and I had people in BC and Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba all saying we want out too, because the Canadian government has just crapped all over the West for a long time and treated us like their free ATM card. And so there's a lot of anger. And by the way, I don't know that would ever happen. I mean, possibly, whatever. I mean, but I heard people talking about that my whole life. Mm-hmm. People were upset with Pierre Elliott Trudeau. People were upset with the whole situation. I mean, that anger kind of assuaged when Harper was in, because, he was a Calgary guy. But ultimately, the same system that Harper did arguably a better job of running, and he did, Same system allows for a Trudeau to walk in and kick it all over. And to tell you the honest truth, for a guy like me that wants to see Alberta get a better deal, I don't know whether to thank Trudeau or be mad at him, because I've never seen that sentiment higher in Alberta. Let's put it that way. I mean, people I predict, are not going to vote Liberal for 1,000 years after this guy's out of office. I mean, with this whole thing with Cotter, this whole thing with him going overseas and getting up on stage. He gets up at this global citizen concert at the G20. We covered this on the show. And he says stupid things like, I'm so happy to be inspired by you. Who talks like that? And then he's showing off his socks. I mean, this is the best that Canada has?
No, this is not the best that Canada has. No, this is not. Nowhere near the best. This is the worst Canada has. The problem with it is Canadians really didn't pay attention to who his father was and what his father did. Everybody was stuck to the same story that Pierre Elliott Trudeau did a good job. Oh, look, Justin will do a good job too. Everybody votes for the son of the politician who was in office previously. We even had it happen here in the city of Mississauga. Where there's a Mahoney who left. As she's leaving, her son, whose name is also Mahoney, comes in, and that way they could have signs all over the city because his father at the time was running for mayor. So look at that. You've got Mahoney. The family member stays in power. George W. Bush, the family member always gets voted in.
Hillary.
Human beings. It almost happened with Hillary. Human beings have got to become a whole lot smarter, man.
State Department for how long after Bill was in the White House and the governor of Arkansas?
Yes.
That was a dynasty.
Yes, it was. Let's call it what it is. You're right. It is a dynasty. And she got in based on who the family was. You got to stop voting that way. You got to keep thinking that the son is as good as the father. Because if the father was just the son cannot be any better.
Well, listen, like what we were talking about before, though, with this won't happen again. I have a really good friend named Scott, and he was just here, and we were talking about this. And during the federal election, he spoke with his mom and his sister in BC, and their attitude was, let's vote for Justin Trudeau. It'll be kooky and fun, and he's got great hair, right? And I heard that from other people, too, in the country. They had no idea what his policy would be. They just, he was aesthetically pleasing, right? And I don't even get that because whatever. But he spoke with her recently because we did this story on Americanuck Radio where Amazon is selling a My Canadian Boyfriend Justin Trudeau calendar. It looks like the cover of Teen Beat magazine with little hearts and maple leaves around Justin. And if you look at the calendar, there's him holding a kitten, and there's one with him making the heart thing. And it's like the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. But he sent her a picture of the cover of that as a joke, and she came back at him with a tirade about how disgusted she is. Good. And what did we do? And that's liberal BC.
Yeah, Vancouver's pretty liberal. Not really a fan of a lot of the mindset out there. The last time I was in Vancouver was May of last year, 2016, and everybody over 35 was cool to talk to, and everybody under 30 was kind of dumb. And that's it based solely on the political correct, not stigma, that's the wrong word, the political correct engorgement that they would all like to keep in place. It's odd that people want to think this way, and it's very odd that people who want to think this way want me to think this way too. That's not going to happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy myself in Vancouver. It's a beautiful city. I love the downtown core, and I always stay right downtown because the outskirts are hell to drive in. But I can't talk to anybody who's 10 years younger than me or less. I just can't. It's far too left wing.
Yeah, that's not just Vancouver. That's a lot of places. I mean, I'm very fortunate because I live in a fairly rural area of Alberta, and people are extremely down to earth. But you're right, Vancouver. As far as cities go, if you're in the right places, it's one of the most beautiful cities on the planet. I mean, BC itself is it's just phenomenal. I mean, if you go out to Tofino or anywhere in Victoria. Vancouver, it's just beautiful.
British Columbia in general is a treasure. The place is amazing, and to not have to endure snow and freezing cold temperatures in winter in Vancouver appeals to me in every way. The Constitution guarantees that I can go live there in a heartbeat if I chose to do so. But the price. Can't afford it. Even with trying to artificially...
stands for bring cash.
Yeah. Well, we ain't got enough. I could sell my place for $1.1 million. The problem with that is I would be buying a house 1/3 its size and being miserable about that choice.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, their economy's in shambles. I've heard people there go on a big rant about Trump and how bad he is and how far have we come with the rights of women and gays and blah, blah, blah. And then...
And with Trump... Yeah, and you know what? With Trump, those rights are going to stay. So everyone who's stupid out there who says Trump is bad, trust me, he's good. He's doing the right thing. Anyway,
I've never in my life been prouder of a president. I've never in my life seen a phenomenon like this. And I think that the Trump effect is going to bleed over the 49th parallel. And that's why I'm excited that you're announcing the launch of this new political party. I mean, we've got to make something work because the same old has got to go. And, you know, the Trump effect really is just people want liberty. They want prosperity. They want a future for their children. I mean, even the kids now, I've seen major polls in the Washington Post and New York Times of all places saying that the kids coming behind the millennials are ultra conservative, ultra libertarian. And I'll tell you why, because if you're 5 years old and your parents are dragging you to a pussy rally or a pride march where people are acting disgusting like a bunch of animals, you're going to look at that and you're going to think, there is no way that I'm going to act like this when I get older. And we saw the same thing with a lot of the hippie movement, right? Where their kids grew up and they didn't want to be going to protests and whatnot because they saw it. And they saw it as kids growing up, and they were disgusted with it.
Yeah, they were, and they should be. And I'm very happy that the kids who are in grade school now and early grade 9, grade 10 are not happy with the liberalism out there. In fact, we've got a kid who's not quite 15. He's going to be joining me for Freedom Report for a few events, which would be great.
Nice.
He wants to talk about all the issues going on in public and Catholic schools in Ontario, which is phenomenal. But I tell you what, Mike, I got to get going here because I did promise Jay Feza from the Rebel.media that I'd do an interview with him on similar subject matter. Everybody's curious about the arrest, and the Rebel are the only ones who are going to cover it the right way, aside from Americanuck Radio, of course.
Give Jay a shot in the arm from old Mike Phillip, and everybody, thanks for listening. And Kevin, it's great to hear that you're out.
Yes, sir.
We were all really concerned about you.
I appreciate that.
Now everybody can put those fears to rest because Kevin Jay is the same pit bull he's always been for this fight for freedom and liberty. And it's a beautiful thing, and we're going to go on into the future. Kevin, are you going to be appearing on Americanuck Radio on Saturday coming up here?
I would be pleased, thrilled, and honored to do so.
You told
the
me
answer is
earlier
yes.
That you guys are going to have some policy and a platform for your new political party. You should have that ready by Thursday, so you'll be announcing it on the show.
Yes, we'll announce all that for you on the show. I'll talk at length about whatever subject matter you'd like to bring up. David Menzies from the Rebel.media has got a lot of new things to talk about. There's a bunch of crazy stuff that he's covered. I'm blown away at just how crazy itself it's become here in Toronto. But what I will say is this, people, that I'd like you to start following me on gab.ai, which is the best solution out there to Twitter. You all know that my Twitter account of over 8 years was taken down. The Kevin the Jackal. Kevin the Jackal was the moniker there. It had 16,700 followers. Been around for 8 years, and it got taken down because a number of Muslims didn't like what I was saying and complained. Kaboom, gone. Gab.ai, they actually encourage you to follow as many people as you want, and it's a very right-wing conservative location where everybody's really active. So Twitter, I do have another Twitter account. It's Freedom Report CA, not .ca, just Freedom Report CA. It's nowhere near as useful and powerful as Gab. So please get over to gab.ai. Follow me. It's gab.ai/Kevin J. Johnston. Let's also go to patreon.com/Kevin J. Johnston and minds.com/Kevin J. Johnston. I'd like you all to stop using mainstream social media because it's all garbage now. And let's go where the conservatives, down-to-earth people are doing their talking.
Also, you can head over to Americanuckradio.com. That's AmericanUCKRadio.com. We do still have a YouTube channel, so you can, Well, this video is probably going to be on it, so you're just going to keep haunting YouTube no matter what they try to do.
Correct. Correct. And we should, because YouTube still has the numbers. Now, I admit that even though my YouTube channel with 2 million views was taken down, we put a new one up, which you can find at kevinjjohnston.ca. I've learned my lesson, however. I have multiple YouTube channels that cover different subject matter, so everything gets put into my BitChute channel, which is a phenomenal platform, better than YouTube could ever be. And that is kevinjjohnston.com. It'll take you straight to my BitChute channel where all my videos go. And right now, I've got the most popular channel on bitchute.com. So go there. You'll get stuff from me every day. It's a promise.
Beautiful. One more thing before we wrap it up here. Americanuck Radio is live 2 to 4 Central Standard Time on the Genesis Communications Network. We do not have any terrestrial affiliates in Canada, but you can listen live at americanuckradio.com. And if you show up an hour early, ex-presidential Trump advisor Roger Stone is on right before us. So that's a good solid 3 hours of radio right there.
I'm looking forward to being on the show, Mike. I love what you do, and thank you very much for contacting me. This has been a great time.
Take care of yourself, Kevin. We'll talk to you Saturday.
You got it. And that's Mike Phillick from Americanuckradio.com. One more time, Americanuckradio.com. And I'm Kevin J. Johnston. I'm free. I'm not in jail. The police were polite. Do not believe any rumors about me being beat up. It did not happen. Follow me all the time and watch my videos anytime. freedomreport.ca.